Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to the MMA Huddle. We're here for UFC 256. Myself, Will, and John on the other side there. We're here for another pay-per-view, and we're here for another pay-per-view headlined by the flyweights and by the flyweight champions with inside a 3-week span. So you've got Deiveson Figueiredo trying to defend his strap against the number one contender, Brandon Moreno, who also fought in that card a couple of weeks back, which is kind of crazy. So both these guys turning around really quickly. I really like that, honestly. And a great main card is kind of on offer here for UFC 256 to finish out the pay-per-view portion of the year. And you've got a co-main event of Tony Ferguson against Charles Oliveira as well, with Jacare, JDS, Moicano, Fiziev all in the main card as well, and young prospect Ciryl Gane as well. Before we get into breaking down some fights, just a massive thank you for all the support throughout the year. Hit that subscribe button and just help to grow the channel if you can. And we've got some new things kind of coming into 2021 and just more predictions for you next year. John, how's things? How have you been? Thanks for I thought I had a technical difficulty and we've managed to kind of work it out that it's not. So how have you been?
Good, bro. It's good to have you back on the camera and get your face back on the screen for everyone to join in. And I'm sure everyone missed you last week, but bro, like you said, we've got some potential new... We're going to try it next week with a live stream with the two of us. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. And again, it's just playing around, folks. We're trying to grow and evolve the channel. I'm looking forward to it myself, mate. It's going to be something fun to do. But yeah, like I say, I've been really happy this year as a general whole. We've got obviously next week to go to, but we've hit some good numbers this year. I'm over the moon. I'm blown away by the fact that we got over 1,200 subscribers. So I'm hoping we get more and more. The bigger we get the channel, the more we can end up doing with the channel. And mate, this card has got some sick fights in it, and next week card is just stacked bigger than Brock's traps. But it's awesome, bro. The fact that they're just packing these fights in before the end of the year, and then we get a break. We get a break. No tape study for a few weeks. We can just relax and break down our body and recuperate again and reset for the new year.
It's going to be nice considering we've not. When did the fights come up? May,
June. Yeah, something like that, non-stop.
6 months solid, and I see they're starting the 2021 calendar with 3 fights in the first week. So there's going to be
a Fight Island. Yeah, twat.
Island, yeah, which is good. So we're going to start off with the main card here. We've got Junior Dos Santos against Ciryl Gane. Who have you got?
Loving the matchup. It's a great chance for Ciryl Gane to kind of put himself in that heavyweight mix. He's got a lot of potential. I've seen a lot in him. Oh, can you hear me echo, bro?
A little, yeah, a little bit.
Oh, a little bit. I can hear a lot. What's going on there? Did something come out? Oh, there you go. That's it. I'm gone. I'm all good now. I don't know what happened there, bro. There I am again. I'm in. I'm out. Shake it all about.
Can you hear? Are you okay or?
I can hear me. I can hear me from your end. Now it's not. Now it's stopped. I don't know what it was, but it was on, and I could hear me from your end. So God knows what happened there, bro.
This fucking microphone was absolutely just like it was flashing a wee bit, which is something I've never seen before. So, yeah. Right, we'll start over again.
It's okay, yeah. Ciryl Gane, like I say, I think he's got a ton of potential. He's such a calm guy. For someone who's so inexperienced MMA, he's so calm in the cage. Takes his time. Obviously, he's uber confident. He's athletic, stacked. He's got good cardio. He's got a lovely array of striking. He's shown as well a ground game out of nowhere, last minute submission that he can pull out the hat. Junior Dos Santos, he's really needing the W's. JDS, he's on a torrid time of late. If you think about what's been happening with him, because he's not been getting stopped by decisions, he's been getting stopped with strikes. And what's weird about JDS is he looks tremendous. He probably actually looks in the best physical condition of late than I've seen him ever. You know, he's 36 years old, which isn't old in a heavyweight terms, but for someone like JDS, that is old because he's had some wars. He has not had some gentle fights in his career. He's had long, hard fights. He's had that, the Cain Velasquez trilogy, which was, that really took a lot out of them. But then again, Rosenstruck stopped him, and then he's got Blades who stopped him. Obviously, Blades used the advantage there. Francis Ngannou, which is fair enough. you know, he's on it. He's on a tough time at the moment. Like, losing 3 times in a row, getting hit like that, that starts to put a lot of question marks into the value of JDS's talent and chin. Because he could box you all day with a jab to the body, but when it starts to get a bit aggressive and it get a bit dirty, boxing comes in or one heavy shot comes in, I always worry now, is he going to be able to take it on the chin? Is he going to start wobbling? I'm going to go Ciryl Gane here. 3 rounds. I think Ciryl could put a good output, nice head kicks, leg kicks. He could throw some good striking in. And Santos is constantly almost going to have to be on the back foot to avoid getting hit hard. Ciryl Gane doesn't seem to put too much heavy shots into his striking. He seems to like to pick guys apart, which in the heavyweight divisions can be a yin and yang, because you could outlast them and you could outwork them with your conditioning by just breaking them down, like a Bisping style where you just volumize. Or if you're not putting enough pop in those punches, the guy starts to think, right, cool, I ain't going to respect those punches. I'm going to come forward with my power because I'm heavyweight and hit it back. But I'm going Gane here. I think he can get maybe a decision win or even stop Santos, because I think Cyryl's got a lot of talent and we've not seen all of it yet come out. I think he's almost like not holding back, but he's not needed to use it yet.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to kind of really have any kind of favour on Junior Santos here, in my opinion. It's the UFC are kind of making this fight up to kind of build one guy. It's not to build a former champion. They know what which side they're kind of bread's buttered here, and they know that who they see kind of going forward in the future is Ciryl Gane there. And like I say, Dos Santos to me is obviously he's a Hall of Famer, and he will be one day. I think he's one of the better champions the UFC had. He came across to America and he speaks like amazing English, and he always kind of caught that really quick. And I mean, when he came through into the UFC and was running through guys, he was so exciting to watch. His boxing was so good. But now his chin's gone. I think he's a little bit hesitant with his striking a little bit. I think that his boxing, he was always there first and he could take a shot. I don't see that chin just being there anymore. No. So when you look at Gane, I actually really like that he doesn't kind of go balls to the wall. He picks his shots well. He's very long. He's got a reach advantage here. And he will pick away at a guy like Dos Santos, and if he gets the opportunity to finish him, he'll go for it. But to me, I think Ciryl Gane here should. He's obviously the favourite. I find it hard to be on the Dos Santos side, so I'm going to pick Ciryl Gane. I actually just think he picks him apart for 15 minutes, and he could get a finish if Dos Santos gets a little bit aggressive and ends up maybe catching a counter shot. But for me, I think you have to kind of be on the Gane side. If you're taking the Dos Santos side, then more power to you. I wish you all the best, especially if you put it on the bet, because you're going to get decent odds on it. But to me, it's going to be Ciryl Gane for the win there. Kevin Holland against Jacare is up next, and we're kind of having a little bit of conversation because Dana's come out and said that up to 60 fighters are going to be cut from the UFC. And when you look who they let go, and Yoel Romero, who's lost a kind of load of fights recently, big wage, a big earner in the UFC. Jacare Souza's going to kind of be in that territory as well, where he's losing fights, he's losing to really good guys, but if he loses to someone like a Kevin Holland here, to me it's a pretty, I think it's an obvious sign that you could get rid of Jacare, in my opinion. I think you can build that, you can give that money and build up some of the other guys you've got coming through, like a Vittori or whatever, through that division, who's young, hungry, and really after it. Kevin Holland here, I mean, he to me is making a huge step up, and it's no fault of his own, because every time he seems to have a fight, somebody pulls out and then he's getting a new guy coming in, really, or he's jumping into a fight, like the Buckley fight. Buckley came in there on like a week's notice.
Yeah.
But he looked great in that fight. Darren Stewart, I think he jumped in on like 2 weeks' notice. I don't think he looked all that great in that fight. And then Ontiveros' fight was... Ontiveros, I don't think would it surprise me if the UFC kind of got rid of this guy, even though he's only had one fight. It really wouldn't. So no fault of his own, really, that he's not fought the best kind of competition in the last 4 fights. But none of those guys are, I want to say, top 30 guys in the UFC. Especially Stewart will not be far off. Buckley's making his way up there. I think, to be fair, the UFC are kind of getting behind Buckley a wee bit after his knockout, and he's shouting out for some bigger guys and so on, and got a little bit of beef with some fighters. So UFC will kind of play on that. But this is a big, big step up, in my opinion, to face a guy like Jacare, who, to me, is mentally a very scary fighter to face because you know that you can't make mistakes against a guy like Jacare Souza in certain spots because, in fact, you can't make mistakes really with him anywhere because he can knock you out and you know if he gets you to the ground, he can control you and he can submit you. So the guy's just a big danger wherever the fight is, but he has just turned 41 years old.
41, as we recorded today.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
7th of December, his birthday, yeah, as we're recording.
So he is old, and that has started to kind of show. I want to say within the last 2 years. I thought he looked good in the Brunson rematch. Stopped him there. Gassler, I thought he was a little bit unlucky there. Weidman, I thought he looked good there, and then he's kind of looked. I don't want to say he's looked bad in his last two fights. I think Hermansson fought up. Like that was his first big jump up into the main event slot, and he took it. Kind of like Vittori did at the weekend there. It kind of all happened like that. And then Blachowicz went up to 205 and he fought a terrible fight. He really didn't fight a good fight. But in saying that, Jan's now the man up at that division. So to me here, Kevin Holland's got a massive reach advantage. I don't think he is the more crisper, kind of flashier striker, but don't write off Jacare in those spots. He'll need to get inside to really get to Kevin Holland. I think he can do that. I think the pathway for Jacare to win this fight is to try and search for takedowns, and that's. I mean, if he gets it to the ground here, I think he can control Kevin Holland for large spots of this one. I think Holland's jiu-jitsu is actually kind of underrated a little bit. I think he's actually pretty decent, but he can be taken down. I've seen Darren Stewart jumping a takedown. I think it was in the Kevin Holland's. I think he double-legged him into that one there. Brendan Allen was another one that double-legged him in there. As well, so he can be taken down, and he's not a guy that really goes for takedowns. So he's obviously going to want to keep it standing, which I think he might have a speed advantage and obviously a length advantage. But you cannot write Jacare off up there. So to me, I'm signing the Jacare side here. I think he's a little bit more dangerous across all aspects. And I'm not taking anything away from Kevin Holland there because, I mean, the guy's what. He stopped most of his wins in the UFC. He stopped, what's his name, Hernandez. He stopped Buckley. He's got his last guy in there. He's who else did he got? John Phillips. So the guy can stop you as well. So to me, I'd just rather be in the Jacare Souza side. I think that if he can get takedowns, he will win large parts of these rounds. And I think if he gets him down more than once, I think he finds a way to submit him. So. And you've seen him. If people, I shouldn't really say this because every fight's different, but if Brendan Allen can find a way to back, if you get Jacare on your back, you're tapping out. I don't care. You're going to sleep. So I've got Jacare Souza. I actually think he stops Kevin Holland here. I think he'll stop him via submission.
Yeah, I suppose with Jacare, obviously 41, he's obviously training differently. He's looking after himself differently, and it can have an effect being 41 years old. But he hasn't. He's never looked bad though. Even when he was 39, 40. Like you said, the Hermansson fight, Jan Blachowicz 205. You could see 205 just was too big of a weight class for him. And he just suits the middleweight division. Kevin Holland getting that step up. Like I say, the Jack Hermansson fight was a step up, and so Jacare's step up. For Kevin Holland here, he's got to. You got to remember he's at the apex. They're in that cage, which is a smaller cage, which almost forces the action. Kevin Holland might prefer to have the big cage to use his kind of style, which is the punch and move and get the space. Jacare's going to try and close him down, use a bit of head movement, as we've seen with Jacare, and trying to throw some strikes at him. At the same time, I think that Kevin Holland's got to be careful because if he comes in for like a 1-2 punch kind of thing, Jacare's going to want to shoot in maybe for a takedown, like you said, a double-leg opportunity, or even get the fight to the cage where he'll do like a trip to try and get you down. Because Jacare's strong. When he gets hold of someone, he is strong, and he's hard to get off you. When he's got top position, he is so heavy on top. Kevin Holland, with the length and the size that he is, might be able to use his limbs to get himself out with the butterfly guard, etc., half guard, if it depends on what positions are. But he's in a lot of trouble if it goes to the ground here. For Kevin Holland, like you say, though, I think if he gets the win, it's huge for his career. Huge, like that's going to shoot him way quicker than I thought it would be, pushing him up in the rankings. I'm kind of going towards Jacare on this one too. I just feel like with his head movement, boxing, because I found that with the fights that Kevin Holland's had, he had a tough fight against Darren Stewart. Really, it was a tough fight, to be fair. And considering it was short notice for Darren, I thought it was a tough outing. But the other guys, they were kind of the short notice ones. They weren't as sharp. I think Jacare is so well versed and he's so not surprised by what's coming to him because he's been there that many times. I think he should be okay here. I think Kevin Holland will have the better of the fight in the first 2 minutes, possibly, of the striking. Then when Jacare starts to get the timings down, starts to get the speed of Kevin Holland, you might start to see Jacare put the pressure to get the fight taken down to the ground. And that's where he might get the top game position, start to change, transition, and then that's it. Transition, submission, Jacare.
Yeah. Good fight, really good fight. Interesting fight. To me, that one. I'm looking forward to settling down and watching. And this is another fight that's
sick.
This is a really good matchmaking, and I like I think the UFC have like pinpointed, right, this guy could be a star, so we're going to give you a tough guy who I think always deserves a kind of tough opponent anyway. You've got Renato Moicano against Rafael Fiziev. Great fight, really fun fight. I'm looking forward to hearing who you've got in this one.
I was torn on this fight because I thought to myself, do I take a lot of the Mark Diakiese fight? Well, I should take a lot of the Mark Diakiese fight. I thought Fiziev looked so good in that fight. Like, as the fight went on, his dominance, his timings, his footwork, everything just started to come together. And then I thought to myself, Mark Diakiese doesn't have a plan B. That's one thing you've got to think about with Mark Diakiese. Had no plan B, no real attempt at takedowns, could not figure it out. He kind of almost kept going to the same well. And I thought, well, the answer's not there. And you're still going for it. And Fiziev just kept on messing him up. With Moicano, the guy is a monster everywhere. He's got grappling aspects. He's got striking aspects. He's a far more dangerous opponent for Fiziev. And I'm hoping we get to see more out of Fiziev in this fight. I hope we get to see a bit of takedown defense, grappling aspects, see how he handles that side of things. Obviously, the win against Damir Hadzovic for Moicano was a big one. But Fiziev, he's a striker. Is he the striking coach, isn't he? He's striking coach at Tiger Muay Thai. So the thing is, with that side of it, he's all good. And Moicano is, I think he can hold his own on the feet. I think he'll be okay with the striking. I think he's going to engage in the grappling aspect, especially after like you say, well, after that, the performance against Alex White and Mark Diakiese more so, you start to realise that your levels to the game. You've got to be careful. I'd go for the takedown. There's a lot in this fight that I'm stuck on because I think with Moicano, if he uses his experience and knowledge in the fights that he's had, he's fought way higher opposition, way higher caliber guys in the UFC, that is, in MMA perspective. I think if he can get the fight to the ground, he'll have a far greater success, and Fiziev will have a really rough time trying to, get this guy off him and avoid the submissions. I think if it stays standing, though, I gotta kind of go with Fiziev. So, because I'm going Fiziev in this one. I think he's got a chance here to actually get the W. I think there's ways to stop Moicano on the feet with striking. I think if Fiziev can stop the takedowns, as long as he's smart, as long as he's wise, he can definitely get the W here. I'm going to go with Fiziev in this one, bro. I think Moicano is a freakishly talented dude. I think he's an absolute savage. I love the guy to bits, but I'm going for Fiziev here. I just feel like he's just a talent and a half, the kid.
Yeah, his striking's next level when you see his speed, his timing.
Like Adesanya.
Yeah, when you look at like Diakiese, and I'm not throwing Diakiese under the bus or anything, but he's got some speed. But once he knew that this guy was just faster to the punch quicker, like he backed off, and like once he doubts himself, Diakiese's beat, in my opinion, all the time. And Fiziev really took out there. I mean, but like I say, everybody kind of looks at his striking, and obviously that's his main aspect because that's kind of what we've seen: the clean, crisp counter striking, just getting off big leg kicks, good combinations. But this is definitely, in my opinion, a step up from all opponents he's faced, because I know Moicano was up at 155 now, but he was pretty much around about a top 5 guy in that division. And you look at some of the guys. I mean, he was fighting Ortegas and he was fighting Aldos. He was fighting big guys down in that division, but now he's kind of moved up. I mean, you can't really take too much away from the Hadzovic fight, because that way he kind of got on there and got that out of there kind of really, really quick. But like I say, you look at like the Zombie, Aldo, Swanson, Qatar, Ortega, Stevens. I mean,
The who's who?
that's who's who at 145. Like that is top 10 guys right across the board there. So top 10, top 15. And he is a kind of dual threat guy. He's a threat in kind of every spot. Good striking, long jab, big leg kicks. Will really go at the body well too. I think his footwork's a little bit too flat though. When I watch him, I'm just thinking if you stay stuck there, you are going to eat some leg kicks against this guy. And if you're in open space and you're stuck there, Fiziev, in my opinion, his speed is so
Sick, innit?
Yeah, it's so like fast twitch that if you stay in that one stationary position, I think you're going to get your leg chewed up. I think he can attack the body with body kicks, and then he can come up top with big hands as well. But like I say, this to me is a big jump in competition. But Fiziev's a guy as well. I think he's had a lot of kickboxing bouts, so he's been fighting big fights for a long time. Actually, just not in MMA because he's still fairly new to it with a 8-9-1 record. And like I say, he was caught as well, so he's shown that he can be knocked out.
He's had over 30 Muay Thai bouts. That's what's been recorded, but there's probably more.
Yeah, especially if he's a trainer out in Thailand.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be doing stuff all the time. So I'm on the Fiziev side as well, and I'm a big fan of Moicano, but I think the speed kills here. I think that once Moicano sees the speed and like the counters of this guy, I think that he's gonna be frozen there, and I think he'll start to get picked apart. So I've got Rafael Fiziev via decision in that one there, and that'll be a massive win, and probably throws you into that top 25 of that lightweight division. Because Moicano was not a top 15 guy, but like you said, was a previously ranked guy at 145. But I'm going to go Fiziev. I've been kind of holding back and forth whether I maybe bet Fiziev, but the line's going up, so maybe just sit back and watch and enjoy as a fan. But co-main event, staying in the lightweight division. Oh my God, a hell of a co-main here. Tony El Kukui Ferguson makes his return after his first loss in years.
Yeah.
He faces off against the surgeon Charles the Bronx Oliveira, who is the last couple of years, every fight you watch of that guy, you know there's a finish going to happen. You know there's going to be some crazy stuff being thrown, and I've personally loved the confidence that I've seen with Oliveira. Like since the Felder fight actually, where he had
lost that,
and then. Looked like he probably could have got Felder out there, then got blasted out himself. Since then, anybody that they put in front of him, he's absolutely destroyed with abundance of different ways as well. His hands it's kind of crazy, like how the difference in his striking from, you could say his first tenure in the UFC. The guy's been in the UFC for what, 10 years?
10 years, gotta be 10 years, and he's been there forever. Yeah, it's been a stupid amount of time he's been in the UFC.
So, 10 years, 10 and a half years. So he's been around, but he was a kid then, obviously. So, and he was a kid that had dangerous jiu-jitsu skills, and he used that any time he got.
Jump guard, all that.
He was thrown to the wolves very, very quickly.
Yeah.
His first
Elkins,
but then 3 fights in, you got Jim Miller. Back in 2010, Jim Miller was a straight up fucking killer. So, and then you got Cerrone a couple of fights later. So, he's been facing good guys, Swanson, Edgar, Holloway, Jeremy Stevens, Pettis. He's been in there with the who's who across a couple of divisions. And now, within the last 2 years, I want to say probably, we've seen the real kind of Charles Oliveira put together. And
he had trouble. He had trouble over the years, making 145. We'd seen him on the scales. He looked like shit. He had real bad problems with it.
Yeah, he's kind of, in my opinion, he's just kind of grew into a man now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what it is.
To me, before fights, I always thought he never looked kind of domineering. I don't think he looked that scary face. But now, you know that you're not only going to get a rough ride on the ground, on the feet, this guy is super aggressive. It's kind of night and day. It's kind of crazy to me. And again, I'm bringing up quality of opponents here, but when I'm looking at the list, it's not outside of Kevin Lee, who I would put as a top 15 guy. maybe a top 10 guy at lightweight. He's not faced the competition, and then you're going against Tony Ferguson. Like, I think people are right. I think people are writing off Tony Ferguson a little bit too much after losing to Gaethje. Gaethje is a savage, and that was just a fight. That was a good style matchup for Gaethje. You seen that as the fight went on, where he was quicker. He had more artillery. He had just so many more different things that Tony Ferguson really hadn't kind of faced before. And a guy that had a will to kind of win up there with kind of Tony Ferguson. Yeah. People to me, and I've only been looking, I've kind of, the one thing that I've enjoyed this year, I've really taken a back seat to Twitter and everything. But the times I do go on, and like people are like completely writing off Tony Ferguson. I'm like, no, you don't write off someone like Tony Ferguson. You just don't. But this is a fight that could be absolute fireworks because on the feet, both guys super aggressive. Throw a lot of weird stuff, especially Oliveira now. He'll throw like jumping crescent kicks and karate kicks and you name it. So he's super aggressive because he knows that if he gets aggressive, gets taken down, then you're playing into a big wheelhouse of Charles Oliveira down there. I think I initially when I heard this fight being made, I was like, yes, let's go, Charles. I've never been a big Tony Ferguson guy. I thought, Charles, this is a great fight for Charles. See, when I watched some of the fights, I'm like, I think this is a really good fight for Tony Ferguson to rebound after that loss. But then you've got to look at Tony Ferguson's side. What's his kind of mental capacity like at the minute? Does he doubt himself? Because before that he had a bulletproof kind of demeanour where you couldn't really break him down. He thought he was the best guy at 155. And has that kind of been shattered a little bit with him getting knocked out pretty badly, taking a lot of damage in that fight? Perhaps. I do like the side of Charles Oliveira, like money wise. When I see that, like a plus money dog like that, I'm like, ooh, kind of gets me a little bit when I watch the fights. I think Tony Ferguson is just an absolute beast, and he's still one of the harder guys to face in a Sharks pool at 155. And this is, I mean, if Charles can come through this here, massive, and like no matter what Tony Ferguson looks like, because I don't think he's going to look bad. Tony Ferguson, he might.
He's had a good break though. It was May when he fought, so he's had 6-month break. That's fantastic.
Could he be gun shy in this one? I don't think he's got that in him. So I'm gonna lean on the Tony Ferguson side. I think that he will, and I shouldn't really bring this up because it's not happened in years, but we've seen Charles Oliveira quit, and we've seen him in spots where he will look to kind of get out of the way of a fight. But that was 5 years ago. You could say that the Felder one was a little bit like that. The Pettis one was a little like that. The Holloway one was definitely like that. The Swanson one was definitely like that. That was years ago. He's blossomed into a totally different fighter. But if Ferguson comes the way we know he is, could that old kind of Charles show up? I don't think it can, but it's something that sticks in my mind a little bit. I'm on the Tony Ferguson side here.
It's a hard one, bro. I'm with you because, let's be honest, Charles Oliveira's not got the power that Gaethje has. So that's something that you've got to take into account because Ferguson was just coming forward and taking hits, and I don't know how he kept standing. He took the leg kicks and everything. He was still standing even when he got knocked out on the feet. You know, he's got insane conditioning, so something that helped him with that fight as well as it kind of damaged him as well, so to speak. It kind of yin and yang for him on that one. But for me, Charles Oliveira, like you say, bro, he's evolved into this savage, like on the feet and now, and he's so confident. He throws hard because he doesn't care if it goes to the ground. But people need to remember, Tony Ferguson is a little ninja on that ground. I know Charles Oliveira is badass on the ground. I'm not denying that. But Tony Ferguson's a badass on the ground, folks. If you forget Tony Ferguson's grappling, you're out of your mind. He's got one of the best arse chokes you'll see in the game. He whips that in any place, any time, and that's it. Locked in, got those long arms, whacks in that choke, and you're tight, and he's in. So Charles Oliveira, even if he was to go for a takedown attempt, he's got to be careful there because Tony Ferguson's got lethal little grappling kind of chokes. He's flexible. He's an absolute monster, and you got to remember as well. What's his face? Charles Oliveira's been stopped with submissions. Like you say, Will, part of it was he just got broke and then the guy's got advantage of him. But he can be submitted, Charles Oliveira. As much as he's an offensive guy in the grappling, he can't get stopped. Tony Ferguson, in this fight, I know what he's going to do. You know what he's going to do. He's going to walk forward. He's going to throw strikes. He's going to keep pressing. Charles Oliveira is going to maybe... If Charles Oliveira's put on the back foot, you've got to question it then. How does Charles Oliveira feel going on the back foot now? It'll feel a little bit out of his depth. Because I think if you put Charles Oliveira against like Gaethje, I think he'd have a rough time against the Gaethje because he'll get cracked. And it was the... I always remember it was the Cub-Swanson fight where he got cracked by Cub and his world just... ended. Do you remember? It was like an overhand right or something from Cub, I think it was, and Charles Oliveira just went, fuck this, no, don't like this, no likey. He just was all grappling game, and don't get me wrong, Charles Oliveira's feeling confident. He's probably feeling a lot healthier, like we said before. That weight class at 155, he's not cutting that extra bit of weight. He probably feels he can take the punches a bit better. Kept beating Kevin Lee was huge. But to be fair to Kevin Lee, though, he was a bit brash and a bit Billy Big Bollocks talking ahead of the Charles Oliveira fight, and he didn't focus on that one fight and just lost it. I'm with Tony Ferguson. Well, I think Tony Ferguson getting 3 rounds is like Christmas Day to him. He's thinking, dude, I can go 50 rounds, 3 rounds, I can go insane pace, insane output, and I don't need to stop. I just keep coming forward, just keep going, just put that out there. And if you're Tony Ferguson, to be fair, like you say, well, I think he's of that mindset. He is a bit, let's be honest, he's a bit out there. He's got that mindset of, I'm the champ. I'm getting that belt back. I lost to Gaethje. I'd make adjustments if I fought Gaethje again. Let's go for it. And I think that's what Tony Ferguson's going to have, that mindset. I think Charles Oliveira's going to have a bit of a hard time kind of coping with the aggressive behaviour of Tony Ferguson, because Tony's really good at scrambling. You've seen it as well. Well, he's got good scrambling ability. He's good. I don't know how to word it. He's unique in his movement with some fighters and the way he fights. I kind of go with Tony as well, because I think he cracks. Let's not forget, Tony Ferguson hits hard. He put Gaethje on his ass. Was it the end of the second round? I think it's second round. It was an uppercut, was it? I can't remember now.
But just when I'm sitting here listening to you talk, like he's like a guy that loves to make it like nasty.
Yeah.
If he makes it like with those elbows and knees, whatever else, and weird low kicks that he throws, will Charles maybe like, oh, I don't want any of this, and maybe come up for the door. So I'm just kind of thinking while you're talking there, but it's like Tony's just an awkward guy to face.
Yeah, he is, because he just makes it violent and filthy, and Tony's happy to go there. He's happy to go into deep waters, and Charles hasn't so far at 155. Don't get me wrong, he's looked tremendous at 155, and I'm made up that he's got a fight like this, made up for him, because he's earned it, in my opinion, and he's got that opportunity, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get this W pulled off. I'm going Tony Ferguson, bro. I think that pressure, you might get a decision for Tony possibly, or even a late stoppage.
So moving on to the main event of the night, we've got, like we said at the start of the show, flyweight to jump back in here in 3 weeks' notice, which, I mean, that takes some balls doing that. Like, Deiveson doing that is, to be fair...
That weight cut, in 3 weeks.
They're like they never even left the arena and they'd already made this fight for the pay-per-view. It's kind of quick that kind of goes down. So you've got Deiveson, Figueiredo against Brandon Moreno in your main event here. The rightful, in my opinion, number 1 contender, Moreno. I'm a big fan of both guys here. And I've loved what I've seen from Moreno in the last year. And Figueiredo has just been... I think he's a bit of a revelation, honestly. I really, really enjoy watching him fight. How do you see this main event going on? Because there is some things here that kind of worry me a little bit. Obviously, the 3-week turnaround. Figueiredo's a guy that has struggled a little bit in the past with his weight, but the fact of him being in Vegas, maybe focused him up enough where that first fight never really lasted that long. That he's still in fight shape. He's ready to go. Obviously, he wanted this fight because it was made with inside an hour and a half of him winning his last fight. So how do you see the main event of the night going in the flyweight championship bout?
I think one of the bonuses is both guys only had to do 1 round. Physically, they probably feel fresh. They probably feel really good. Conditioning-wise, they've got the UFC Performance Institute there. So that's one thing they'll definitely... I think if I'm Figueiredo, I'd be using that often. You know, I think that we're okay for this performance and on both parties because they've got the Performance Institute there. I think both of them will be popping there for the weight cutting and getting help because they get fed and all sorts. I don't think we have to worry because they haven't got the travel, like you say. Will they'll pretty much just be they'll be golden. I think they'll be looked after. They'll be safe as houses with that kind of support around them, that support network. Because I think the worst thing for me would have been for the pair of them would be to shoot back off to their, their homes, so to speak, for because that travel of a day or two there and then doing it back again, that's effectively you're looking at what, maybe 6 days if you had maybe 3 or 4 days, like just adjustments and stuff. You've only got a 3-week gap. You don't want to do too much movement. You don't want to be you want to just be ticking over. 3 weeks you can tick over. They could have both let themselves off a little bit, had a day off or two, have a bit of water, a bit of food, treat themselves for a little bit, and then get back on it again. I think they'll be fine for the weight cut, and I think they'll be fine for the performance. If you want to know who we're picking, like if you want to know what we think about them, just look at our previous fight, previous recorded. You'll find out what we think about both of them. No, I'm not going to go too much into it, but like we literally just did it, so it's weird. I sat there and went, am I going to bother doing any tape study? I just bloody watched them for Christ's sake. Brendan Moreno, made up, great performance. He's a talented dude. He's an absolute gangster. He's a G. But he's going against a Figueiredo who is, it's nice to see they've got a guy there who could hold that belt for a bit. They've got a guy who can stop dudes with his hands, which is superb for that division. You've got a guy who can stop you and put you to sleep. Like you've got, like Joseph Benavidez. I thought he was going to retire, but he's got a heck of a fight coming up, and if he wins that, the UFC is going to be stuck on what to do with him. Do they give him they can't give him another title fight, but that's by the by. But Alex Perez is a really hard fighter, really opponent, and he just looked so good in that fight, Figueiredo. He just looked fantastic, didn't he? Let's be honest. And the fact that now he's stopping dudes, like one of the things I think a lot of people had a bit of trouble with the flyweight division, even the lower weight classes, I'll say 135, 125 maybe, a lot of people would say decisions. They keep going decisions. With Figueiredo, the last time he had a decision was 2019. He had one against Pantoja, and then he had one against Formiga. Then prior to that, he's stopping dudes, and then since then he's just stopping them. And it's great for the flyweight division. You've got a guy with a highlight reel finish, almost like a Demetrius Johnson style again, where he's stopping guys, outclassing them. Moreno's got a really tough one here, Will. I like Moreno. I think he's a talented dude. I think he's tough. He's got heavy hands as well. But I think one of the things he's going to fall foul on is he's going to maybe get into that war with Figueiredo of punch power. He's going to go, cool, you think you hit hard? I hit hard. Now, he stopped Royval. That was a great stoppage. Don't get me wrong. It was great to get a stoppage over Royval. But Figueiredo, I'm kind of a little bit tentative, thinking Moreno's maybe going to stand there in the pocket a bit too long. Figueiredo's got really nice timing with his striking. He really can put some power in if he wants to. I think we're going to maybe see a Figueiredo kind of masterclass here. I think he's just going to get maybe the second, third round. He'll start getting the timings, the range, and the movement, and you'll see Figueiredo maybe get a stoppage before the even 5 round. I don't think we're on decision. I think we're getting a Figueiredo stoppage here. I'm kind of high on Figueiredo, thinking he's got, as long as he can keep the weight right, performance-wise, I think you've got a champ here for the next maybe 2 years. He's an absolute monster of a guy, and kudos to him stepping in. So kudos to both of them stepping in soon, because obviously we have the Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling fight removal. So kudos on that one. Save the UFC's bacon, so I hope they get paid for it. Not likely they're going to get a big pay from it, because we know the UFC's tight. I think they're Scottish owners, the UFC. But no, I got Figueiredo, mate. Honestly, I think he's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm struggling to push myself off Figueiredo as well. Just kind of trying to say it. There was a lot of people really backing Alex Perez hard in that last fight, and I mean, he only lasted a couple of minutes. Now, I think he made some mistakes. When I watch that back, like I'm not a jiu-jitsu whiz or any of this, but when you watch enough fights and you've been around enough people that know a lot more than you do, you learn things. To me, Perez just showed kind of lack of awareness in that last one there. Like he put his head in the armpit. His hand positioning was a little bit off there, where he could have went for maneuver some stuff around. And to me, it was just a little bit of a lack of awareness. And if you do that against Deiveson in any sport here, you could be in deep, deep shit. And like on the feet and on the ground. You've seen that he's got a nasty choke. We've seen what he did to Benavidez when he kind of knocked him out a couple of times, and then like that choke was like, oh, it was such a nasty choke. I'm kind of the mindset that we might see the best Deiveson Figueiredo here. That ever since this match was put together, I'm like, right, he looked an absolute tank. Looked like the way in, like he got himself a new nutritionist and stuff. He looked like he was in the best shape I've kind of seen him in on the skills, and that kind of transpired over to the fight. Like I said, I do think there was some spots from Perez where he made mistakes. There was a kind of little bit of a fence grab from Figueiredo, which I didn't really like too much. I'm not a fan of that, but
No.
to Moreno, I've been a fan of this kid. I actually met him before he was even in the UFC. He didn't even speak a lick of English either, and he was. Who was Cejudo against? Cejudo was against DJ in the first fight. I was at that card in Vegas, and he was just the nicest guy. He was literally stood right there while they were going to do on like the like the training things, just like the camp. And he was kind of like a training partner of Cejudo. So Cejudo obviously saw something in him, and he was just a nice guy. And he was saying hello to everybody, and like I say, barely spoke a lick of English. And then he comes into the UFC and does really, really well. Gets cut from the UFC surprisingly, then comes back. And since then, I think we've seen the true evolution of his game, where he was always a good scrambler, good jiu-jitsu, could get some well-timed takedowns, but his boxing's really come on his last few fights. Now, it doesn't mean that I think he wants to stand there and kind of trade shots with Deiveson. I think he needs to be quicker to the punch. I don't think he can be flat-footed. If he is, then he's going to get caught with Deiveson's big shots. But Deiveson's just a danger wherever and whenever the fight goes, really, pretty much. I am a little bit dubious to see how it goes late, though. If he was to push a pace into 3, into 4, would Deiveson Figueiredo kind of wilt a little bit? To me, just by looking at the guy, I don't think he would wilt like that. I don't think he's got it in him. But again, 2 weight cuts in the space of what, 3-4 weeks, that's going to take its toll on you. So I'm looking at where Moreno can win this fight now. I think he can get takedowns. You've seen in some fights in the past there that if you can use takedowns in Deiveson, you can, like you've seen it in the Jared, what's his name, Jared Brooks. Yeah, he got numerous takedowns, but really that's all he really had was takedowns, because if he was to stand on the feet any length of time, now I'm not saying he didn't get shots off, because he did, but he knew that, like, I can't beat this guy in the feet. I need to take him down with my wrestling. Formiga took him down. Like I say, Perez kind of got in a decent position. I just think it was lack of awareness in that one there. Tim Elliott got a kind of quick takedown. But if you give this guy a hint of the neck, if you give him an opportunity to land the big uppercut that he throws, dangerous, I think you're in deep trouble. So, like I say, I'm definitely on the Figueiredo side here, but I'm kind of feeling for my boy Moreno, because I really do like Brandon Moreno. I think he's a really good, solid fighter, and I've enjoyed his kind of last run, like the last year of his fights here, where you've seen him progress with his game, and he's become the number one contender to the man up top there. So I'm going to go Figueiredo inside the distance. I think that he just finds a way to finish the fight, and that's what he's done in his last 4 fights. So Deiveson Figueiredo is the winner in that fight for me there. So that's the main card done. We're going to quickly run through these Fight Pass prelims. I don't think we really need to talk too much about them, if we're being honest with you, but and there's been a couple of fights fell off in the last 2 days and so on. So
sure, be more.
Yeah, Chase Hooper against Peter Barrett. I'm picking Chase Hooper, even though it's not like he's minus 400. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, he's a big favourite here. But when you look at Peter Barrett, there's guys, and you watching the regional scene, that he's put himself in bad positions and got submitted. He does that with Chase Hooper, and he's got his back. I think he'll be submitted here. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it. Chase Hooper has 0 striking, but I see him kind of get it to the ground and kind of win the fight through that. So I'll take Chase Hooper.
Yeah, I'm going Hooper only because of, like you say, I think one of the issues is Peter Barrett's not got very good range management. There's a lot of fight he kept getting closed down. There's a lot was able to kind of damage him with the close grappling, so to speak. And Chase here, if he close grapple with Chase, he's going to do something to try and trip you, get on top. He's got the height that he has with those legs, inside trips, and he can get you back pretty quick. Even on the stand on the feet, tries to get you back. So I'm with Chase Hooper as well. I think he'll actually get a submission on Peter, because Peter's not got he hasn't got KO power, so to speak. So I'm not sure what his uber strong point is in the fight.
Li Jingliang, Dwight Grant, who you got?
I'm going Jing Liang. Simple as. I think Dwight Grant overextends on his strikes a little bit, leaves himself a little bit wild with his punching. I think Jing Liang got pop in his hands, can take a punch. Plus, he's just fun as to watch. The dude is just crazy fun to watch. I love watching him fight. I think that he got outclassed by Neil Magny. Neil Magny was just a tank, a machine. Didn't have any problem with cardio, just ran through Jing Liang. Jing Liang just couldn't handle it. But, you look at what he can do, Jing Liang. He can hit hard and crack hard. I think Dwight Grant, I didn't even realise Dwight was 37 years old. I didn't even realise. And I went, geez, man, his striking's kind of wild. I thought maybe he was a bit younger and he could tighten stuff up. And I thought, 37, there's not much tightening up going to happen with you, kid, for your cut. I think Jing Liang wins. I think Grant gets cut after this, bro.
To me, Dwight Grant's going to knock out a bust.
Yeah.
I think if he doesn't get you, I think you can outpoint him, you can outlast him, you can just do more than him. And it's thing with Li Jing Liang, like he's one of the most frustrating guys to me because, like when you watch that performance in China against Alessio Dos Santos, like he looked unbelievable, but then he kind of dropped the ball against Neil Magny, where Neil Magny fought a really solid fight, which he's known for doing. But like he can drop the ball in certain spots. The Jake Matthew fight, he did it there as well. So it's hard to really trust Jing Liang here, but the guy's got a good chin. He can deliver a shot himself. Like I say, if he gets through this first round here, I see him kind of just picking apart Dwight Grant, maybe win a decision through that. So I've got the Leech as well. Sergey Spivak against Jared Vanderaa. I've got Spivak here. When I watched Vanderaa, I was like, like he had to go to South Africa and face the EFC guys.
Ruin Potts, savage.
Yeah, Richard Odoms and stuff like that's not a good look going over there and finishing guys like that. But anytime he went to the LFA, which is kind of
LFA was Richard Odoms at LFA when he beat him.
Was the LFA?
That was the Kimura one. That's why he lost in the Kimura.
Yeah. So like he's not did great in LFA either. So to me, Spivak he's like 25. He's shown that he's. When he first went to UFC, and I seen the footage before he did against Walt Harris, I was like, this guy is not good. He's not going to stick around. But he's shown that he can clinch you up. He can take you to the ground numerous times. He can do that. Vanderaa, he fought that, was it Harry Hunsuckle, I think it was. And it looks to me like his ground and pound is massive. So that's what he needs to avoid there. I think Spivak can tie him up and win a decision, in my opinion. So I've got Sergey Spivak.
Yeah, that Hunsucker came in short notice too as well. He came in like that week to fight, and he was like, I think it was like a 40-pound discrepancy in the weight, so it was crazy weight class difference too. I wasn't overly impressed by Jared. Yeah, I found that he didn't have anything overly great. Like I say, he got that Richard Odoms got submitted in that one, and the dude Richard Odoms like 42 years old or something like that when he fought him, man. I was like, man, and Richard, like after the first round, Jared was gassed, and then he beat the Elvis Moyo in EFC. He was like a boxer who didn't know much else other than trying to box. He was awful, got leg kicked. Spivak, he has grown a little bit more. I think Spivak's kind of known where he is. He's kind of like a Olenek, where he knows he's not the best striker, but if he gets on top here, he can maybe kind of use the grappling aspect. Spivak will throw some heavy punches to close distance. I'm going Spivak because I haven't been overly impressed by Jared. I don't think there's much in his skill set that makes me go, he's going to do well in the UFC. I think, if anything, if he does get the win against Spivak, he's not going to get many more after that unless he gets really well matched up to, like, the Volantes, for example.
Yeah, it's like I say, I think Spivak's has to be the pick. Just when I was watching Vanderaa, I was like, nah, I'm just not sold on him yet. And he called out for the Spivak fight, so maybe he sees something that we don't. But not for me in that one there. This one to me is a really tough fight. I'm struggling between this one. Gavin Tucker against Billy Quarantillo. Who are you leaning with in that one?
Gavin Tucker. For me, love him. Love Gavin Tucker's skill set. I love the striking that he's got. I love the way he can mix it up. He can do the grappling aspect. Obviously, Billy Quarantillo, Kyle Nelson, that was it. Kyle Nelson fight that he had. Like, I thought he was exchanging a bit too much for my liking. I thought he was in too much of a dogfight with him, and I thought Kyle cracks hard, and he did get some good shots on Billy. And I feel like with that fight, it showed to me that you can bait him, and Gavin Tucker's really good at hit, not be hit. He's good with the footwork, good with the movement. I think we're going to see Gavin Tucker just kind of use that kind of skill set where he's going to come in with the striking, kind of bait Billy a bit more, and get the grappling aspect going, get the fight to the ground, get the takedown involved, and try to get this another submission win under his belt. I just think Gavin Tucker is an all-rounder. I just really like him as a fighter. Really, I was a fan when he came into UFC. I was made up he did sign up. I'm going Gavin Tucker, bro.
I was kind of thinking, I was like, who are you going to pick? Because I thought you might have been the Quarantillo side, but like I say, I'm interested to hear that you're on the Tucker side. I'm leaning Tucker, and I really liked what I've seen out of his last fight. I thought he looked very good against Justin James, and Justin James has shown that if he can't hurt you early, that he kind of fades out. But the body attacks, the low kicks, that really broke down Justin James there. Quarantillo to me is very scrappy. I think he can go really hard for a good 15-minute spell. Can be in bad spots, get himself into spots where he's winning the fight. He's coming off a really good knockout against Kyle Nelson in the third round. I'm leaning Gavin Tucker as well. I just think that this is going to be a very, very, very close fight. I've got a funny feeling this could kind of have like a split decision, or like it could be like a dominant for one guy, or split decision, and I've got the split decision kind of feeling in this one. So I'm going to lean Gavin Tucker, and it's a competitive odds. Like I want to say it's a pick and fight. Let me bring that up quickly. Oh no, it's not. So Billy Quarantillo was actually a betting favourite, so I thought I'd pick him. So Tucker's an underdog there. Let's bring up this card again. Sorry. So that's the early prelims at the road. As of now, we've only got 2 fights in the televised prelims here. You've got Mackenzie Dern against Virna, Jandiroba. Interesting fight to me, because when I look at it, like obviously both girls are kind of known for their jiu-jitsu and their grappling, especially on the Virna side, because I don't think her striking's all that great.
It's awful.
Grappling is very constrictive. Once she gets you down there, she's very tough to get off. She fights well down there. And she can put you there for large spots in the fight, but then you go down there against Mackenzie Dern, you're giving yourself opportunity of maybe getting submitted. I don't think when I look at this, I think both of them. I think both of them are just as good on the ground. Actually, I don't really lean either kind of one side. I think Virna can. She might, if she gets some positions down there, she could maybe actually keep Mackenzie Dern. On the feet is the big kind of asterisk for me. Mackenzie Dern, I don't think is a great striker, but I think she's shown us a lot more that she has power. She's working with Jason Perillo, and everything that she seems to be posting is about her hands and her striking. And if that comes on here, and she can keep this fight standing and not go to the kind of mat and be put in positions where she can be kind of dominated a little bit, or like Virna just has position on her, then I think that she could knock out Jandiroba, in my opinion. But I mean, Mackenzie Dern's coming off wins over Hannah Cyphers and Randa Marco, so it's hard to kind of really take much away from it, in my opinion, because Marcos made a bad decision, Cyphers made an even worse decision. So it's it's hard to be, and especially at the betting line. I'm a Mackenzie Dern fan. I actually quite like her, and I've watched her for a while coming through. And but I've been burnt in the past. I bet against Amanda Ribas, which was probably one of my worst bets of the year, because it was so soon after a pregnancy, and pregnant fighters kind of going forward is something that I've got a kind of big asterisk beside. I'm going to go Mackenzie Dern, but I think Jandiroba's a live underdog. Put it that way.
I'm going Mackenzie Dern simply because I think it's the perfect fight for her to practice her striking. Because you've got a girl who can't strike. Virna has got woeful striking. It's like watching Roxanne Modafferi back in the day. It's awful. And if I'm Mackenzie Dern, I've been practicing some stuff with Perillo. I'm just going to practice it on this girl here. I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to get some striking in. You just practice your hands, get some footwork in, get comfortable in the octagon, in the live situation, throwing your hands. Because if Mackenzie Dern wants to get anywhere close to a title, she needs to work on striking. She cannot rely on grappling alone, because there's girls who will, like Tatiana Suarez, will absolutely destroy her with wrestling. She'll pin her down and not being able to let her move. She'll get her down like a side control or some kind of pin move, and she will have a nightmare with her. Or even someone like, in fact, Tatiana Suarez would stop all the takedown attempts from Mackenzie Dern and then beat her on the feet. So she needs to add striking. I'm going Mackenzie Dern. It's a great opportunity for her. I think unless it gets Virna gets on the ground and she can get a submission like a grappling aspect, but Mackenzie Dern's going to be kind of wise to it. I kind of favour Mackenzie Dern because I think she'll have the defence on the submission game, but the advantage on the striking. So that's my pick on the striking game there.
So the last fight on the kind of prelims here, the last fight we're going to be talking about is Cub Swanson against Daniel Pineda. A really actual fun fight to kind of lead into the pay-per-view. Here. Who have you got in this one here?
Oh, I love Cub Swanson, man, but I'm going Daniel Pineda because I feel like Cub Swanson's a punching bag nowadays. You know, Kron Gracie was getting off on him. Kron Gracie was landing a lot of strikes on him, as much as Kron was landing on getting hit as well. That was far closer than it had to be. Cub Swanson stopped the takedowns, which was great. Don't get me wrong, he didn't lose. He needed that win more than anything because he was on a really bad streak. Pineda hits hard and can hit and throw strikes. Hits harder than Kron Gracie, I can tell you that right now. And we've seen with Cub Swanson, he'll kind of get baited into those fights with the striking game. He'll happily just take hits, and he gets hit too much, from my opinion, these days. His style of fighting suited him 5 years ago, maybe, when he had the speed, he had the kind of agility. Cub's not as fast as he was. He's not moving like he was. He gets hit too much for my liking nowadays. I'm going Pineda. I think he can get the W here. I think he can hurt Cub and really put a bit of pain onto him.
Yeah, interesting fight. I'm going to go the other way, though. I'm going to go Cub Swanson here. I'm going to pick him in this one. I think that, Daniel Pineda, to me, in my opinion, is a very, very, very good opponent here. I think he's fought outside the UFC. He's been fighting legit guys. I know the last couple of fights in the PFL kind of got pulled because he tested himself. Yeah, but he's fighting like Jeremy Kennedy, who was in the UFC, a solid fighter. Movlid Kabulaev, I think is how you pronounce it, who's like a really solid fighter himself. And he is a very hard-nosed guy. I mean, he's lost like close fights to Emmanuel Sanchez, been in the UFC in the past against Brandao, Robert Whittaker and so on. But we know that Cub Swanson, like you said, can be kind of engaged into a brawl a little bit, and there was some spots in that Kron Gracie fight there. And it's not even the Kron Gracie fight there. If you go back and kind of look at Cub Swanson, extremely hittable. Guy's got a great chin, though. I'll give him that. Like for the people that he's been in there with, and
I think it's conditioning on him is a big factor. He's always been good nick.
Yeah, I think he got dropped. Was it the Moicano one? He got dropped with a jab, and then he got jumped on his back. I think that was it. Wasn't?
Yeah.
So the chin's, I shouldn't say it's cast iron, but it's decent enough, especially in Fargo's fight, where great back and forth fight. He absorbed a lot of strikes in that one, stuck around, then he had Kron Gracie, and you kind of know what you're to expect from Kron Gracie. If he can't get to the ground, he's not going to win the fight. But he did it was a bit of an eye opener how much that Kron did kind of land in that. And Pineda is a very, very good fighter. I think I love these fighters that get the second opportunity in the UFC. You've seen it with many guys. They weren't ready for the UFC the first time around. Come back, they've had a lot of experience, big organisations out there. And kind of got the experience, but to me, I'm going to pick Cub Swanson to be a very close decision. I think there's going to be a lot of I think this is going to be an all-action fight. Actually, I think this is one of these ones that could be a kind of under the radar fight of the night type ones. But I'm just more on the kind of Cub Swanson side, so that's going to be my pick there. So that is our predictions for UFC 256. We'll get into the betting side of things. I have one bet. I have Jacare Souza. I go at plus 138. Yeah, plus 138, and the betting line and that's been kind of he's been bet down to like mine plus 115 now. But this card here, I need to watch a couple more fights, especially like the Swanson one. But if you're picking dogs here, like I picked a couple of dogs, so I was on the Jacare side. Cub Swanson's another guy that kind of interests me, where the line's kind of moving in the favour of Pineda. People are betting him, so he's an underdog at plus 130. He kind of interests me a little bit. But again, it's a guy that's very hittable, and he is kind of in the tail end of his career. So, especially on the Jacare side, I maybe have to kind of watch what in that as well. Gavin Tucker's an underdog, which is kind of a little surprised me. I kind of thought they were like 110 apiece. So the fact that he's plus money is kind of intriguing in a close fight. But I need to kind of watch maybe a couple more fights on that. I really want to bet Figueiredo in a parlay again. I did that a couple of weeks ago. Did I put him with Moreno? I don't think I did. But I know I bet both guys the last time, Moreno and Figueiredo, and they both came through. But Figueiredo, I think, is a solid parlay piece. If you think he gets it done, you could add in maybe a Ciryl Gane. He's too high for my liking. Li Jingliang's -210. If I could trust that guy, it's the same with Spivak at -230. If I could trust either one of those guys, that would be a decent kind of close to plus money parlay that I think I'd like quite a bit of. But kind of early on in the week here, I've obviously got the Jacare bet. There might be another couple added, maybe a parlay and another dog in there. But it's this week I think is a little bit tougher. I thought the line was going to start coming down for Tony Ferguson, but it looks like people are kind of betting that up a little bit. So we'll see kind of how that goes. Fiziev's -150. He's actually -145 here in the UK, but that can interest me. But then it's a big jump up against Moicano, so it's a tough kind of fight card for me early on in the week. I'll need to see how that goes. That's us until next week, guys. Next week, we were saying this before, we might have like 18 fights next week.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I would love a card like that, but for DraftKings purposes and there's more bets you can kind of look at there. But that's a lot of. I can guarantee you right now that if there is 18 fights, there's no way I'm going to be able to watch if I've done a couple of those, so I'm going to have to kind of pick and choose what fights to kind of watch in that card. So until next, guys, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for all the support. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. It all helps the channel with analytics and all that jazz. Until next week, guys, from John and myself, all the best. Take care and enjoy UFC 256 when it comes around this Saturday. Peace.